lefty or righty? Not the brain decides. Scientists have long been interested in the fact why people tend to naturally favor the use of one hand over the other. We still don't fully understand what causes people to be left or right-handed, but for decades researchers have assumed that the origin lies inside our brains. It had been assumed that differences in gene activity of the right and left hemisphere of brain might be responsible for a person's handedness. Arm and hand movements are initiated via the motor cortex in the brain. It sends a corresponding signal to the spinal cord, which in turn translates the command into a motion. But the motor cortex is not connected to the spinal cord from the beginning. Even before the connection forms, precursors of handedness become apparent. An international team of biopsychologists led from the Ruhr University Bochum in Germany has now shown that genetic activity in the spinal cord is already asymmetrical in the womb, and could be linked to a preference for either the right or left hand. The research has been published in eLife on 2017 February 1. According to ultrasound scans studies carried out in the 1980s, unborn children prefer to suck either their right or their left thumb from the 13th week of pregnancy. A preference for moving the left or right hand develops in the womb from the 8th week of pregnancy. That's why the researchers have assumed that the cause of right respective left preference must be rooted in the spinal cord rather than in the brain. Human fetuses show considerable asymmetries in arm movements before the motor cortex is functionally linked to the spinal cord. This shows that asymmetry of handedness is due to asymmetries form the molecular expression of spinal genes. The team also found that the asymmetric gene activity of the spinal cord is controlled by environmental factors. Environmental factors control gene expression through epigenetics, a layer that sits above the genome and determines which genes are switched on and off. It's through epigenetics that environmental factors can cause more gene activity on one side of the spinal cord compared to the other. Those influences might lead to enzymes bonding methyl groups to the DNA, which in turn would affect and minimize the reading of genes. As this occurs to a different extent in the left and the right spinal cord, there is a difference to the activity of genes on both sides. This molecular mechanism for epigenetic regulation within the spinal cord constitute the starting point for handedness. These results fundamentally change our understanding of the cause of hemispheric asymmetries. Thank you.